Attention on me.
Lois Lane. That she is. Welcome to Comics League Dark. I'm Jared. I'm here with Robert. What's up, brother?
Hey, how's it going?
So today we are going to be discussing quite a lot of topics. We got the DC versus Marvel pair-ups, which some of those are weird. Some of them make sense, so I'll give it that. James Gunn's DCU news, a lot of Ultimate books possibly ending, and Robert is going to finally review Trinity with me. So you want to start with Trinity?
Let's just get it over and done with.
All right, so here's the thing. I'll start with you. Go ahead.
It's not the worst thing I read. It's a bit annoying, but it just feels like one of those, don't take this book seriously. Don't.
On that, where it, by the way, everyone, spoiler alert, I'm going to, but it's been out for a couple of weeks, so. JJheat.
Flame on. How's everybody doing tonight?
Good. So have you read Trinity?
I have. It's decent.
Good. All right. Yeah. So the thing about this, here's where it drew the line for me, in addition to a lot of areas. Am I the only one that where it felt like they were mocking Pariah's trauma?
Look, I'll put it this way. If it was any of the other Trinities, yes. But since it was Kid Trinity, she don't know it better.
No, I mean, it's King mocking that trauma. Because that's what it seems like when you set up a scenario like that.
Where are you going with this, Jared?
No, because Pariah has the trauma of constantly seeing worlds get blown up.
Yes, from Crisis. And then Trinity said something crass because she's a kid.
Yeah,
but
kids do that. Like, kids do that.
No, but King, why would you do that?
Because a kid would do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why a kid in her position would do that.
Yeah, exactly, Cameron. But yeah. So there's that, and then literally he brings back the adult Trinity that everyone hates, and she acts just like everyone hated.
Well, if we go by what has been shown, implied in the solicitation for issue 3, maybe she'll actually get a reality check.
Now, it looks like that's Kid Trinity, but here's the thing. She never mentioned that she had an adventure with her older... That's why the time travel thing doesn't make sense. Yes, thank you. I can use this clip. This is the one good thing Tom King gave me.
Time travel.
But anyway, that's why this doesn't make sense, because I'm like...
It's a constant... Dude, okay, here's the thing when it comes to time travel. There are two different types of things. Either it doesn't change anything, it doesn't change anything, and you get updated memories, or you do get updated memory.
It's either multiverse theory or everything blends together and creates a paradox.
Or it catches up afterwards, not instantaneous.
That is also true.
So it's actually 3 options. Clearly, they're not going for the instantaneous memory updates, no matter what. It's going to wait until the events settle down before the memories update.
But even adult Trinity, when she's talking to Sovereign, never mentions this.
We don't know when this happened for her.
They get time displaced. The 3 between the backup story. Just let me cook for a second. Mm-hmm. They each get displaced during 3 specific times. Kid Trinity when she's being babysat by Damien and John,
and corgis.
Teen Trinity probably around the same time as the corgi issue where Damien and John get turned into dogs, and adult Trinity shortly after Sovereign's backstory in the main book. So it's the same person, time displaced from 3 different points of her life.
Yeah.
But the thing is, it's like, by the way, it's apparently, so do they go to another Earth where everyone's corgis? Because they
No.
go through a portal and then all of a sudden wins corgis.
I think in that point they did, but that's because that's where John and Damien went to, but they themselves were turned into corgis.
Yes, and the backup issue, Damien and John were turned into corgis. But I think in Trinity issue 1, they ended up going on a random Earth where everyone are dogs.
Yeah.
So it's basically like finding a needle in a haystack.
Yeah, it's just, see, here's the thing. My opinion on this, and I said the same thing to Jim. It's like, what this is going to turn into, this is just going to be a story that came out a long time ago that chances are we're not. I guarantee you this will probably not be the characterization of Trinity if the character sticks around.
I mean, it's a grounded, it's a standalone. Say what you will by time travel hijinks, but for all intents and purposes, this is standalone. It doesn't deviate from the main Wonder Woman book. It gives Trinity kind of like a little bit of ground for improvement. Like kid Trinity still acting like kids. Teen Trinity kind of displaced sometime after the corgi issue. And adult Trinity getting taken down a peg from reflecting from the experience. The Steve Trevor subplot is only a means to bring him back in main continuity. That's really all it boils down to, if the solicitations are to be believed.
But even I gotta admit, where the heck did this happen? Why and how?
Also,
and how does he know about Trinity existing?
Yeah, because he was dead. Does he come back before that? Also, how does he take out this is the part where it lost me, when it's clearly more Steve worship, where he manages to take all the Fates hostage.
I mean, now granted, are the Fates known for being powerful?
No.
I guarantee you they would have guards.
Clearly Diana got up to them fine.
No, but Diana's like an honored guest. She hangs out with the gods all the time.
And depending on the interpretation, she's either a guardian of the Pantheon or one of the many children of Zeus.
Even in this, they consider her one of them.
True.
So I'm like, as far as there's no way the gods would do that.
Look, I will agree. That one I will agree on. When it comes to the Steve and the Faith, that is a bit of a red flag. And I'm like, ugh.
Can we please get can we get an it? Oh my God.
I mean, this technically gives me.
Wait. I just read the synopsis for Wonder Woman 25. Do you mind if I read this? You guys are gonna love this.
Sure, go ahead. I mean,
you remember the Sovereign, right?
He's back.
No, it's worse. All right. It's called Matriarch Arises. After a long search, Diana finds Etta, Candy, and Emily, but what they carry could seal their fate. I'm assuming the daughter. In this special edition, the Matriarch's first appearance marks the beginning of a new era for Wonder Woman. Another Sovereign?
We don't have enough information on this.
Yeah, we don't.
Can he stop it with the secret people? Stop.
People do that all the time in stories, Jared. This is not new.
The other, after you just said we're done with that, either the guy's lying or he contradicts himself. Both are possible.
No, Jared. This is still a different story. It's spinning out of Sovereign, but it's still a different story.
Correction. How stupid do you have to be you saw the negative backlash to that dumbass character that you're like, yeah, I'm going to do more of that.
Jared, Robert, I'll take over. These scripts are made months in advance. Remember Hippolyta, when we did Hippolyta for New Direction Verse? And then Trinity got announced like the same time that video came out. They probably had the character scripted and mapped out like months earlier. It actually became a running joke on the New Direction Verse videos. Hot cheap plug. But coincidence aside, yeah, a lot of these are scripted in advance. So if Tom King and I know I'm going to get clipped for this. So if Tom King just had some leftover ideas he wanted to sprinkle into this Matrix arc, as long as Sovereign is not directly referenced in any way.
He will be. He's his OC. And what's up? Tomatoes and fire. She's throwing tomatoes at it. All right, so hang on. Britt is in the chat. So by the way, Britt, again, if you ever want to join us, you may. So let me pull up her intro.
He's back.
I'm like, bro, stop trying to make secret societies work. You're not Scott Snyder.
Well, and like all I'm saying is, my chances are when they have this into the double side, it's going to probably be a second story that's going to show the fall of the Amazons that we got implied with.
Yeah, I was really hoping that was a future that was going to be like reverted.
It probably is, dude, but we're going to see how it plays out. So you got to see how, so you know how you avoid it.
But I can see why he wanted to introduce, because Mole Man is not a good enough villain to carry a story. Mouse Man, excuse me.
Mole Man is Marvel. That would be impressive if he got that Marvel DC crossover.
But yeah, Mouse Man is not an impressive villain by themselves. So I understand if you want to add matriarchs or a secret society into the mix. I understand it. Okay. But execution is always key, in my opinion.
Agreed. And this is Tom King, and he's not known for good execution. DC, please take this series behind a barn and old yeller it. Anyway, let's move on to our next topic. So you guys want to talk about the DC Marvel team-ups?
Yeah.
Sure.
All right. So here's the thing. So we got Deadpool and versus Batman, but we also got announced what the backups are going to be, and the backups are going to be other crossovers. Some of them make sense, like Daredevil and
Green Arrow.
And Green Arrow. That
was written by Kevin Smith.
Or Jeff the Land Shark and Crypto. I'm like, okay.
Oh,
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Wonder Woman and Captain America.
I mean, it could work.
This is a bad idea. This is a bad idea now to cross over with another man named Steve.
Dude, they're not thinking that at all.
I'm saying also.
They might make a gag, but that's not going to be the main focal point of the story.
I know it's not, but I'm just saying, why, from an editorial perspective, are you doing this? You already have...
Because both are at least marketed as American-centric icons. So it makes sense.
Exactly.
Yeah, but she hasn't been done as an American icon in, like, years.
And they're trying to fix, I said figuratively speaking, fix that.
Yeah, they picked the wrong writer, but it's like, instead of like Captain Marvel, I could get if they pass her off with Carol, I could be like, oh yeah, because they are basically in the same like position of like the heroes, or even Storm, but Cap, another blonde-haired guy named Steve. Nice job. This is really original, guys. You could have had Captain America and Superman, and they still possess the same like position.
I'm positive at least the Captain America side was because Chip is taking over the book.
Oh, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with Captain America being involved. It's just who he's pairing up with that I'm like, no.
All right, if you couldn't use Steve Rogers for the backup with Wonder Woman, other than Storm, who would you have used?
Captain Marvel.
Okay, Robert.
Captain Marvel, maybe She-Hulk, maybe.
What? Yeah,
if you wanted to be meta, if you wanted to be meta with it.
Here's one: Valkyrie, Jane Foster. Is she still Valkyrie?
Yeah, I don't think people would want to connect that. That would be just.
Oh yeah, okay.
No.
They would rather the original Valkyrie was Diana, dude, not Jane.
Oh,
no,
okay.
No.
Yeah.
Say what you will about Jane Foster.
You know what they do to screw with us? Female Sentry.
Oh God,
that's what they do to screw with us.
Is that JJheat? They're including that recent miniseries that introduced the female Sentry in the Sentry Omnibus.
Okay, so just to make sure I have this right, this is the same one who gets the powers of the Sentry, then goes out of their way to create a wheelchair construct. Am I understanding this correctly?
Because she's in a wheelchair.
Because she doesn't want to use it to make herself able, because that'll be ableist.
Trust me, Cameron, it's not as cool as it sounds. And they literally, you know, it's kind of funny. So Sentry died in like before. They literally have 4 other people with the Sentry's power show up. So I'm like, oh, I wonder what you were inspired by.
But they keep emphasizing just the wheelchair one.
And I go, that is dumb. You know, it's kind of funny. It's the second time I picked up a trade just because I like the character. The first time was Amazon's Attack. So I'm 0 for 2 on that thing. So I open this and I go, this is the one time where I would say a book is woke.
Yep.
Because
We're walking a tread line. With
I know. Because of course the bad Sentry is the white guy. Well, I'm like,
there's some books you just can't deny when it is woke or with an agenda.
yeah, the difference between me and a bunch of other people on YouTube that like throw that after everything, I save it. This is an occasion where you could use that.
Yeah, I
would argue the Naomi miniseries, but that's a
Naomi too. That's another option, but still. But I'm saying of the books we're talking about right now, yeah, that's Sentry book. But anyway, it's like, I mean, I get it. It's just like there were so many better characters that you could do for a Wonder Woman crossover.
I would argue Captain Marvel and Green Lantern, if I'm being honest, especially if you're going to use Jessica Cruz.
That could work. That would be, particularly if it's Jessica Cruz, that could work as well. We could get that later on because, as we know, this isn't the only book they're going to be doing crossovers with. Thank God. So, can we get an actual Wonder Woman crossover with a character that makes sense, please? That's just me. That's just me. But what do you guys think about the other ones? Because the other ones are solid. Like, again, Green Arrow and Daredevil by Kevin Smith. Yeah, what's up, Robert?
I think the reason why they're doing it in the Captain America Wonder Woman is going to be set in World War II.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. But and of course, it has to be set in another canon because she's not, because that's not Diana anymore.
Dude, we already know these aren't going to be canon because these worlds do not coexist.
That's true.
Unless they're doing a multiverse thing. And in which case, why don't they bring back Access?
Well, in that case, why don't they just they just canonize what Grant wanted to do and have the source wall be the dividing point?
Well, that's that. But I'm saying, why not bring back Access from Marvel DC?
That's true. And you want to do more of this. So just make it so like so you have an omniverse, DC. Just make that its own separate multiverse.
Oh, they can't ever officially do that. They can never officially do that.
No, but I'm just saying, editorially, like, yeah, it's over there. Just say it's over there.
Oh, I think that's, to be fair, I think that's always been the default answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Even for Marvel was DC. It's the default. Oh, it's there, just way out there. But they always seem to make it's harder to get there than anywhere else.
Yeah, exactly. Of course. But I'm like, besides that, and of course, like I say, Batman Deadpool is not necessarily the one that I would have done, but that one makes a lot of sense for the most part. And I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing here. I'm fine with that.
Now, this only applies to the Marvel versions.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, just to make that clear, this only applies to the Marvel version of it. The DC one, I think it's going to be a full story.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, you don't think Deadpool Batman is going to be a full story?
No. I'm saying the DC one is just going to be just that, no backups. Because as far as we know, that only applies to the Marvel side.
Yeah, it just says the backups in Deadpool Batman. Oh, okay. And that's the Marvel one because Deadpool's name is coming first.
Yeah, I think that's
sense.
why. And they've never made any hint off, even when they announced it initially. When they announced it, they also implied the other stuff. But the DC one never had that.
Yeah, exactly. And apparently the Daredevil Green Arrow one is going to be drawn by Adam Kubert. Hell yes.
Yep.
Like, hell right. And of course, Kelly Thompson is writing the Jeff the Land Shark one. I'm like, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Please.
Gosh, she created the character.
Yeah, I know. That's got to be really good. Her watching people play Marvel Rivals, and all of a sudden there's like 20 Jeffs.
You know, I say though, I really want them to also have Dexter appear in it.
Oh, that would be great. Oh, yeah. Like all the like cute pets of DC show up.
Yep. Streaky,
Ace the Bat Hound.
And you just have Jeff swallow them and go off a cliff.
Yeah, exactly. Or like spit them out. It's like if they're supposed to like retreat and they won't do it, Jeff just swallows them and spits them in the opposite direction.
Although knowing Crypto and Streaky, they just be like,
Yeah, by the way, Dave says, how long do you think until a DC Marvel crossover film?
Not that.
Not necessarily long because of Gunn being tight with Kevin Feige.
That's true, but you remember though, there's still legal loopholes you have to leap through. Look at how long it took to get the omnibuses made, and then it even took even more so to make the these books. Even if they agree to it, you still got to go through legal.
Well, of course. What I could see happening is that what they do is as they make it 2 movies, one's Marvel DC, the other's DC Marvel, or like however they want to do it.
That's true.
Oh, Harley Quinn and Deadpool. What would be interesting?
And then
that's the obvious choice.
And then have Deadpool kill off Red Tool.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, no, and that's the one thing they think is canon.
Yep. And just be like, no, thank you.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, that's a stupid one. Plus, you already have a Deadpool ripoff, Ambush Bug.
Nah. Ambush Bug is not a Deadpool. And 1, he was before Deadpool. And 2, his meta-ness is way different. Way different.
Deadpool is more crass.
That too.
How is it different?
Ambush Bug is 1, he's not crass. He doesn't really kill people. He's just a guy who's just self-aware and just bumbles his way around just having fun. That's all he does. His interactions are almost rarely canon, except when the story's a bit more serious, in which case he's not as zany as he is used to be. The most he ever gets is he's used when he's aware a book's going to be canceled, and then he'll say, sorry, guys. But that's about it. As far as how when he actually interacts with the main stuff. When he's on his own in his own minis, those things are never canon and they are just off the wall. But even then, it's just throwing jokes at the wall. It's like if DC done by Abram Zucker.
Oh boy. Okay, I see. That makes sense. But
yeah, I agree with Dave there.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it had to know it was gonna be the Batman one though.
Yeah.
Which I'm like, here's the thing. We've seen Grant Morrison write Batman. Grant Morrison writing Deadpool.
Now, to be fair, he has written this type of edging parody when he did Doom Force.
He did.
But still, it's like him writing Deadpool. That's gonna be a sight.
Agreed.
I mean, he's done that. He's done this before, like for all intents and purposes.
Yeah. Yep. Which I'm like, okay, that's actually really dope. I like that. But overall, I may have my misgivings, but no, I'm hyped for this. This actually is going to be. It looks and actually really cool. I'm in favor of this. By the way, did you guys hear that apparently John Bernthal, the Punisher, is going to be in Spider-Man: Brand New Day?
Yeah.
That rumor keeps going back and forth. And
no, it's confirmed.
Oh, it is. I heard that was a case of a prior story. And that's what I'm hearing now. That was a prior story.
No, it's confirmed.
Okay.
Which I'm like, they need to somehow recreate the image of the cover. Like that.
Oh, that'll be easy. That'll be easy.
Yeah, exactly. Just have them pose somewhere. They've got to do that.
Agreed.
Yeah. Or like Spider-Man going, I've traveled the multiverse. I wonder if there's a world where I become you.
No.
That would be really funny. I would appreciate that. I think that'd be
a little meta, but definitely worth watching.
Yeah, exactly. So next topic. All right, so we got Ultimates ending, question mark, or James Gunn's DCU stuff.
I say Ultimates ending so we can also bring up the fact that a lot of Marvel books that got either dropped or are going to be dropped.
All right.
Yeah.
So what I mean by this is through a Twitter conversation, it was revealed that first off, it's like some of the X books, X books, the Ultimate book, the books in the Marvel current Ultimate Universe are ending. Asterisk doesn't mean that they're canceling the line. What that Robert brought up, what this probably means is it's a relaunch.
Yeah, or they're wrapping up the main story they've been building up to, and then they will do it. And you gotta remember this. We already are having this Ultimate in Spider-Man Incursion thing, which apparently is supposed to be set a bit further down the line.
Yeah, and also they're not gonna get rid of their Golden Goose Ultimate Spider-Man. That'd be a stupid idea to do
The
it.
only thing I'm weary of, given how we know Brevoort still has some clout for some reason, I wouldn't be surprised if he's been utilizing the people complaining about MJ lately to try and justify this is backfiring.
Oh, wait. So you mean that he could be using this to try and just by breaking them up?
No, by saying that, no, the whole, people are complaining that she's not even arguing with Peter, that she's not telling him, how can you ruin our family? All those idiots on Twitter, I'm betting he's spinning it to say, see, it's not working.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he is.
Now, was it going to work? I don't think so. In fact, I think it'll be a season 2 thing.
Yeah, exactly. So what it probably is, it'll probably end with the Maker finally returning, and then they fight the Maker, they defeat him, and then it's like the world, not necessarily undoing itself, but it's like the world's adapting to the Maker being defeated, maybe.
Yep. And at the very least, no skin off my back losing Ultimate X-Men. I'm sorry. Why is Peach Momoko so big?
Also, why is Armor the lead of Ultimate X-Men when they clearly made Ultimate Wolverine, which is great, by the way. They clearly did Ultimate Wolverine so they could say, give them the X-Men they want to see.
I mean, JJheat, what's your thoughts on Ultimate X-Men? Why do you think it is what it is?
Good ideas, poorly executed. I would argue the Ultimate X-Men books are the weakest in the entire line.
They make no sense. They don't fit in at all. I mean, I'll say this. Ultimate Black Panther plays it way too safe. Can we agree to that?
Mm-hmm.
Agree.
Ultimate Black Panther plays it way too safe. It's almost no different.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that's different is how it's reacting to the rest of the world. But otherwise, no difference whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
But I was saying no. But you know what seemed to be a bit up in the air?
What?
A lot of the books getting ended or are going to be ended makes you wonder. That usually means a shakeup.
At Marvel, yeah.
Because here's some books that are already gotten canceled. X Factor, X-Force.
A lot of the X books, as a matter of fact, that they made a big deal of relaunching.
Spider-Boy. Now, that's probably because Dan Slott's at DC now.
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Man got canceled. Deadpool. Some of the solicitations are implying that Daredevil's ending at 25. Things like that. Iron Man's ending at 10 because a lot of these books do not have further solicitations.
Oh, Iron Man is ending. I saw reports that it was ending.
Yeah, it was issue 10.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, in the current Amazing Spider-Man, didn't Peter get a new love interest again?
That's touching him again? Yeah.
Well, sort of, but then he tells Felicia, "Oh, I'm not exclusive."
Why? Why are they doing this?
And yeah, funny thing is, when MJ says, "Let's fool around," some people on comic Twitter throw a tizzy. When Felicia says it, no one bats an eye.
Because Felicia is Peter's Catwoman. They're constantly going to be on and off. That's
but she's always the rebound. But they've been using her as the default rebound girl. And I do not like that.
To an extent. Hey, I'm not going to throw shade at a spade. It's true.
Yeah, and I'll be honest. I adore Felicia. She's one of my favorite Marvel characters.
Me too.
I do not like that. Having her be the constant rebound girl just because they don't want to put him back with MJ.
Which again, it's just so stupid. And do you think that maybe the sales are so bad at Marvel that they're like, okay, guys, we gotta change something?
They are breaking up Paul. Well, the Venom's kind of bad into the mix with MJ and Paul.
Oh god, but the solicitation recently makes it seem like, oh, Venom's in the wrong and MJ's upset she's losing Paul.
Oh, okay. Let's address the elephant in the room. Venom, at least in terms of post Black Suit after Secret Wars, was a commentary on how far toxic relationships and toxic X can spiral. That might not have been the main intent, but that's usually what the commentary of what Venom is used for. MJ has feared for her life when interacting with Venom, especially when bonded to Eddie Brock.
Yep.
So even if we factor editorial, even if we factor the pettiness of Nick Spencer ghosting Marvel for Substack, even if we factored all of that, there is no reason for MJ to be Venom's current host specifically.
I think that's why they came up with the excuse of she has to or she'll die because Paul screwed up.
Like Cameron says, to be fair, Robert, Felicia is the girl Peter goes to when he's either in the black suit or wants to write F Mary Jane stories. But I do agree with you, justice for our girl. Yeah.
But here's the thing, I'll say this, Cameron. That's more a recent thing. That has been more the past ever since Brand New Day.
Since Brand New Day, it became more commentary on Dior. On that.
And Cameron. Yeah, it's no, the symbiote typically is, but in this case, it's saving her from blowing up because her boyfriend's an idiot.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, Paul's the greatest, even though he's not. And I love how Al Ewing said, "No, they're horrible."
I swear, if I ever get to write Spider-Man in the near future, and I get to do whatever I want. Somehow they let me do that. He is going to get the Nightwing treatment from Injustice.
I'm just surprised that
wait, where he gets his head bashed in by a pre-pubescent.
No, where he trips and falls on a rock.
He's talking about the original death.
Original death. I'm not saying all the stuff that he doesn't become dead man. No, he's dead.
Right.
Okay. So yeah. Okay. But yeah, it's like. Paul, it's like Paul is the character that it really just looks like DC is just. I mean, DC Marvel is just like it. Paul is the vehicle for DC
outrage to debate the leadership,
to say screw the fans. That's what it is. We're Marvel. We can do whatever we want. You fans will buy the books anyway. Which, to be fair, they're not wrong on that though.
But eventually, you're going to burn a lot of good grades because if Paul, especially with the interdimensional stuff and the fictional kids, first of all, that story's been done before with Wanda leading to House of M, but more so, if Paul wasn't more than just I use the term industry plant loosely, very loosely, even in this context, other than just a kickback at Nick Spencer for leaving them at the readership's expense. If they actually gave Paul a personality or some type of character development, yeah, he's a mouthpiece for editorial, and Zeb Wells is made to take the rap. But at least Paul's an actual character, not a caricature for a gag that went on way too long.
Here's the thing about Paul: so much of his character setup is horrible, and yet we're supposed to ignore it. The writers set this stuff up. Either they don't realize how bad this is, or they don't care. It could go either way. And then they just have it be, Paul's still the greatest. He is the greatest man in MJ's life.
Well, here's how, not caring they actually were. Because here's the thing. If you look at when Paul first appeared, when they show MJ in that dimension, he's like Jack, like Arnold Schwarzenegger. Yeah. He comes to the main world, he's like me.
Well, to be fair, that could be, of course, a case of coming from across dimensions changes your physique. It can happen.
I don't think they said that, though. That's one of the things they have to say.
By the way, that Gwenpool mini has been atrocious.
It is god awful.
I bet.
I mean, the second issue opens up with him saying, "Hey, Peter, I remembered when you killed me."
What?
She thinks, "Oh yeah, he intentionally snapped her neck." He pulled a you, JJheat.
Okay, Jared.
What?
Jared, just calm down.
What?
First of all, technically, she did unalive from the whiplash when Peter tried to save her.
Not on purpose.
No, exactly, not on purpose. But whatever brought her back or whatever she thinks it was.
Now she is
ignore this and pretend it's just another clone.
Nope.
I know, Robert. I know now.
And they killed off the original Gwenpool.
Probably a long time coming because that gag has been running to the ground.
But to be fair though, it's already clear they're gonna bring her back. Look at the solicitation.
Yeah, they're just so the whole Gwen Stacy thing, is it a mini series or is it an ongoing?
It's a miniseries.
Okay, so they're probably gonna shelve the aforementioned Gwenpool until the app. See, this is why they should have given her a different name.
They've been calling her Dark Gwenpool.
Okay.
God.
Garrett,
Of course. Yeah.
you know I am the woman you killed, Peter. Of course, he's like, you're not Gwen Stacy. What is this time? Another clone? Another robot? It's me, Peter, but not how you left me. Rotting in the ground!
Why does this exist?
To piss people off.
Oh, it's working. I don't even care about Gwenpool, and this is pissing me off.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff, eat her and jump off a cliff.
And then there goes.
Oh, they did the Elektra killing of.
They always. And even said, nice visual reference, real classic. But now they're kind of showing that there's something off about her. So it seems like she's not completely in control.
By the way, so Cameron says, okay, so place your bets now. Do we think Gwen is making it 10 or hell even 5 years from now?
I don't think it's going to make the mini.
I honestly, you know what I think they'll do? Wishful thinking, I know. But what I could see them doing is, this may have been the intention that this is really Gwen, but they'll retcon it like, no, this is another clone. Ignore this, pretend this didn't happen.
It's kind of like when they tried to bring back Captain Marvel during Secret Wars, and then later revealed, oh, he was just a Skrull who actually became the man.
Who was posing as him.
Who actually thought he was him.
Yeah, exactly. Just do that. Because this was the stupid... When we were covering this, when they announced it, even we were like, what are you guys doing?
And apparently this has nothing to do with the Spider-Man editorial. So this is not them doing it to try and...
This has been in the works because I guess because the anniversary for Gwen Stacy's original death in 1974.
And because the fact is, let's be honest, when people think Gwenpool, they think she's a Gwen Stacy.
Which technically she is. It's Gwenpool is kind of akin to Superboy Prime, believe it or not.
No. Superboy Prime is still a Clark Kent.
Okay,
yeah, he still is. He still is.
He's still a Clark Kent. Gwen is not. Gwenpool is not.
Is Superboy Prime that, like, he's a normal dude, but then a meteor passed by him and gave him powers? How did he get powers?
Okay, you're thinking of Secret Identity.
Okay.
No, which was a different thing on Superboy Prime. He was from Krypton.
Okay.
But it played out a little differently.
Oh, yeah, that's okay. Wasn't it like Oh, I got it. Krypton was incinerated by its son. And then, okay, now I remember that. That's why there's no kryptonite on his Earth, because there would be no irradiated core.
Exactly, which is why it took until the Legion from his words through Elemental Lab to create it.
Okay, that makes sense. All
right.
Now
and he's not affected by magic. He does not have the magic weakness because that was never established for him.
Okay, that makes sense.
By the way, Gwenpool's name is Gwenpool. That actually is her name.
You mean
but Peter and MJ's not even a bet.
Wait. You mean this? You mean the evil Gwenpool?
No. The proper Gwenpool.
Oh yeah, we knew
Gwendolyn Poole, not Gwen Stacy. So.
Well, yeah. Heather Antos was clear about that on an interview.
Oh, I know. I'm just saying, but that's where why people get confused.
It's a common misconception, basically.
So that's why
she started as a Gwen variant. So can you blame them?
And a self-insert.
Oh, it's clearly a self-insert. She's a delightful self-insert. I do like Gwenpool, but it's like...
Loved her in the Lego game.
Oh, yeah.
There are worse examples out there, basically.
Yeah, that's See, Tom King, that's how you make a self-insertion that people actually like.
Okay, this is funny. I'm looking on Wiki. Dark Gwenpool, not to be confused with Gwen Stacy. But let me show you. I love this. I love when Wiki can have a sense of humor.
So is the Wiki even saying, no, we don't accept her?
I think that's what they're saying. Where is it? Oh, Come on.
That is so good. I love that.
Here we go.
Yeah, it's like Marvel. This seems like a Marvel idea. Dark Gwenpool. Oh my god, that's great.
Yeah. Wait. This is making it clear this was a different Dark Gwenpool.
Oh yeah, there was an evil Gwenpool in the Gwenpool
So this is a different one. That's why I'm saying not to be confused. Okay.
Oh god. Click on the wiki for Gwen Stacy.
Let's see.
Back to MJ.
Yep.
Wait,
Resurrected as X-31.
Oh my god.
She was resurrected by the Weapon X program.
That whole program needs to be nuked at this point.
I gotta say, blame Grant Morrison for expanding it.
But I will say this, though. Especially with Spectacular Spider-Man cartoon highlighting this, Gwen Stacy was always Peter's first love. At least objectively speaking. That is true.
Betty Brant.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about her, Betty Brant. Thank you, Robert. But most people would assume Gwen Stacy is at least the most impactful first love.
It was the one that he almost would have married.
Yes.
Yeah, if she didn't die, he would have married Gwen at that point.
Which was done because forgetting the right Jerry Conway preferred MJ. That's all.
And MJ and Peter is a pretty decent pairing for the most part. The only time they've ever been quote unquote toxic or was strictly in the Raimi films, which I believe this new generation of writers and editorial are likely influenced by when it comes to MJ. They have the Raimi films in the back of their minds, whether they want to admit it or not.
I think to a point, but I think it's also just because of the fact they hated that she was married to him and they couldn't keep him single. So many of these creators still held a grudge.
By the way, so I just got reminded that the Ironheart show is coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Huh.
I completely forgot about that, JJheat.
I mean,
I'm not going to say until the full thing comes out.
Yeah, that's probably for the best, but
yeah,
I'm not going to lambast it just for the sake of it. I'm not going to say it's outright. I'm not going to say it's.
I'm saying it shouldn't exist, but that's just me.
Okay, you know one thing I'm still confused on? We have this Imperial thing that Hickman is doing where he's redefining the cosmic stuff. All right, he's continuing on with the Wakanda galactic stuff, which we saw him do in Aliens vs. Avengers.
That was so cool. Murray, that ending to Aliens vs. Avengers was dope as hell.
No spoilers.
No spoilers, but did not see that coming.
How did they explain Hulk?
Oh, yeah.
How have we gotten from the monster stuff that's still going on with no sign of stopping to he's back being Planet Hulk?
Well, how far in the future does this take place?
We don't know. They don't state. They treat it like it's current because here's why. It's definitely set after X-Men Hunt.
Oh.
It is directly after X-Men Hunt, where Xavier is with Eliandra.
That's a good point.
Now there is a vaguity of where Hulk could take place in, because for the most part, most of these interactions with Strange and with Thor recently. Yeah,
so it could be a sign that they're starting to wrap up the whole horror angle of Hulk, and they're like,
which is a shame.
It was a cool era of Hulk. You know it wasn't gonna last because it's like this is comics. Everything's cyclical.
And now it does say that it's leading to a landmark issue 30 was issue 29. So maybe they're ending at 30.
I would say so, which I'm sad because I love PKJ on Hulk.
Yeah, but to be fair though, I don't know how the sales are doing on that book.
I can check the ICV2 real quick because your boy got the pro account, so I can see the top 200 books.
Wish I could afford that.
Yeah. All right. So let's see. All right. I mean, the top 50 is free, so you could probably do that.
True, but I don't know if it's in the top 50.
Yes, let me see.
Incredible Hulk specifically.
All right, Incredible Hulk. All right, I'll check. I'm in the top 200. 25 is at 37.
Okay, that's not bad.
Not bad for Hulk.
But that's 25 though.
Okay.
That's a milestone.
Yeah.
So of course, milestones are going to be
tell you
one.
what, I'm going to go back to April to see where it was in April.
Yeah, let's check where it was in April.
Because that's a thing. Okay.
Yeah, because like I said, 25 is a milestone. And it had a fight with Thor. That's always going to get sales.
April. I have to go to April. Hang on. April.
Would you agree with that? Like, that's always going to get sales. Hulk versus Thor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's always going to sell.
Okay.
Donny Cates did that.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I love that, having horror
30.
30?
Not bad.
Not bad. So who knows? Maybe it could be a case of Hickman's overruling.
Yeah. It could be that Hickman is kind of like, to a lesser degree, but kind of like he must not be named, and that he will just do what he wants, and then everyone else has to adjust.
Now, at least he's not, unlike he will shall not be named. It doesn't seem like he's written anything to say how he got here yet.
Yeah, so I think the way he got around it is he probably told them, hey, look, I'm gonna set some stuff up. I'll leave it up to you how we get there.
Exactly, if at all.
If at all. If not, it could be that he just happened to like not tell them how we got there, and they're like, okay, we have some space. We don't piss off Hickman, because the last thing we need is to piss off Hickman again with what happened with X-Men.
And I do not see PKJ being that kind of guy.
No, he's not. PKJ is very much a team player, it seems.
Very much so.
Speaking of PKJ, his Batman and Robin run,
Superb.
I mean, it's good for what it is, but I feel like the Memento arc is a little dragged out.
It is very dragged out. I'm like, can we just get to the end here? So that's been really good. Actually, you know what? Let's do this. Let's talk about the books we're reading real quick as a little interlude.
Yeah.
What are we reading? So, Robert, I saw you and Teladia talk about Martian Manhunter, and the thing about it is, I do agree with you. The problem with the Martian Manhunter book is that it's taking too long to get to the point.
And it's clearly written where you sit down and read it in one sitting.
Yeah, I really hate when writers do that, where they write for the trade, because I think that's a cop-out.
Agreed.
It really is a cop-out.
And what do you think, JJheat?
I agree, because you need to if you want to get a fan base or a readership, you got to keep them hooked. If you go strictly for the trade, where you're trying to do the comic equivalent of binge-worthy, you're only going to get a volume or two at best, and that's strictly for a trade paperback. That's no different than a mini-series, maxi-series, or graphic novel, and that's best-case scenario.
By the way,
Right.
This is good.
Oh,
This
yeah.
is really fun. I love this.
And like I've said before, the one downside is it does feel a little convoluted where the time point is. Because it says like many years jump, it doesn't feel like years have skipped.
Could be, but regardless, besides that, it's actually really, and what Waller is doing, that is very much a Waller thing to do.
The fact that Waller was being the reasonable one and that got her killed.
Yeah, exactly. That's something very weird.
Wait, is this Secret Six?
No,
No.
it's Godzilla.
Oh, God. Okay.
Godzilla Kong.
Okay, Godzilla versus Kong versus Justice League 2. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
But I read the first issue of Supergirl. It's not my thing, but it's cool.
By the way, anyone in your mind if I spoiled the explanation of the gold power?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
Man. Okay. Spoilers for anyone in the chat. It's its supersonic form. Basically,
Yeah, Superman 1 million. Yeah. I
No.
thought
Not like that, JJheat. Basically, it's an expansion on his solar flare. When he's connected at least to the kryptonite that came from the meteorite. They don't mention if it's connected to all kryptonite, but at least that particular kryptonite, when exposed to it long enough, it'll trigger the gold form. And then basically for about 3 minutes ish, they say 199 seconds to 200 seconds ish. So around roughly 3 minutes, he is completely immune to kryptonite with his abilities. But once it fades, he is completely drained and yet still vulnerable to kryptonite.
And thank you for that clarification, Robert. Dave, to add to your comment, yeah, but graphic novels are a very slippery slope. I mean, seriously, someone thought it was a good idea to make a graphic novel involving a love triangle between Catwoman, Bruce, and Joker. Yes, Gotham High was real.
Oh, God. You're talking about the YAGNs.
Yeah, by the way, so I'm gonna say this. The explanation for the kryptonite, for the gold form, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. I'm not calling you stupid, Robert. That's not you. It's what was written in the book. I go, how does his body differentiate between the meteorite and regular kryptonite?
No, again,
It's all from a meteorite.
No. Again, one, that could mean that this type of kryptonite was different. That there's something off about it. Like it is traditionally green, but there might be something off about it.
They're just making this overly complicated.
Well, I also did like how the city, they praised Superman because he gave them that kryptonite. That kryptonite that made him a great country. And get this, their coins are made of kryptonite with little cryptos on it, and they're called cryptos.
Of course. But I'm just like, so now green kryptonite has its own variations. Can we just stop adding crap? So it's my problem is they keep overcomplicating the kryptonite stuff. They're like, oh, there's red kryptonite, there's blue kryptonite, that was green kryptonite. Now there's a variation of green kryptonite that gives him powers for a short time.
I will say, I do like how it's connected to his solar flare power. And that basically it's him representing him expelling all of his solar energy to make him temporarily immune to all forms of kryptonite radiation.
Yeah, at least they're acknowledging that new 52 invention in some way.
Yeah, but yes, they do have Superboy make a comparison saying like, you then gather up a whole bunch more, like 100 rings and all that. They do make the Sonic reference.
Yeah, first Donkey Kong get into Super Saiyan form and now Superman. As if he wasn't overpowered enough. See, this is why people think Superman is overpowered.
Well, again, no. It's only lasting 3 minutes. It's not...
Still. It's like, stop giving him powers. Just work with what you got,
but here's the other thing, though. He then has a point where he does use it. It does fade. And since we know that it'll make him powerless, he then bluffs his way to get Knockout to stand down.
Right, Cameron says, really all we need is green, red, blue, gold, and pink. And yes, we should keep pink because the jokes write themselves. Yeah.
And black,
Black kryptonite, I like. I like that was so like creepy when the Batman Who Laughs used black kryptonite to make John and Clark kill Lois.
And then also you have silver kryptonite, which is magic kryptonite, which basically makes Superman high as a kite. To the point where he sees the Justice League as chibi versions.
God.
You want to see it? You want to see it?
Yes, please show me this. I must see Superman high. You two were not actually doing anything here. This is a comic book.
Well, there is up and away. I had to. You set me up perfectly.
Hold on, I gotta find it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but so anyway, so JJheat, what comics are you reading and enjoying?
Well, I did fall off from Spider-Man. Never thought I'd hear myself say that.
I thought you weren't reading Marvel anymore because of Secret Empire.
I was fan requested to read Spider-Man.
Okay, I see.
Okay, so where is it? Keep going.
But I am reading Batman and Robin, Detective Comics. It's getting there. I enjoy the Batman and Penguin team up.
It's picking up. It's picking up a lot more, which I'm like, thank you, because the last arc went on way too long.
Okay, got it.
Titans, I feel like it's falling off again to the point that they literally brought Deathstroke back, and I'm not going to spoil issue 24, but I just feel like the aspects of that issue is kind of a desperate play to boost sales.
First of all, this is where we got that armor from.
Oh, I love that suit. That's in the Justice League Cosmic Chaos game.
Yep. But here's what happens. He just looked at it. He's like, ooh. And then look at how he sees the lead. Like, bloody ears. God,
Oh, that is great. So it kind of gives him like Bizarro intelligence.
No. He's just high. He said, God, I'm starving. What do we have to eat around here? I love cereal. Never too late for breakfast, is it? Look, they named the cereal after me. And it's it's terrible. No chocolate. And then they're like, you guys are so messed up. Just imagine any version. Imagine Cavill saying it like this, like,
Oh,
you guys
God,
are so messed
that's
up.
great. That's great.
Oh,
and the
and
little
this-
kid has an Israeli accent because he's talking to Wonder Woman.
And you get this. There's this one moment that really cracks me up, where with Zatanna, where basically she's saying, you saw magic. Oh, it was fumes. Then she goes, you know what, Batman? Sick yin tub. Is that a spell or a promise?
Wait.
Kiss my butt.
It's like kiss my ass. Yeah, I love that. That's
Is
good.
that a spell or a promise?
Yeah, that would be great. That's great.
Yep, but unfortunately, this story is negated canon.
Oh, really?
Oh, and the writers did it themselves, because when they wrapped up their run, well, first of all, Mixie actually has them bring in those chibi heroes,
Okay.
because they actually did exist out there. But then at the
yeah, it's an Earth, right?
Yep, this is the one where this is also the arc, the run where we got the Superman Batman swapping powers.
Okay, I see.
Or then we get but hold on. But at the very end of it, this is where we got the mashup.
Oh, composite?
No. The mashup.
Oh yeah, I have that issue.
But at the very end of it, in this one where it shows Zod taking over, it's implied all of these were just simulations.
Okay, I see.
Which I hated that. I hate that
Keep
explanation.
it canon. Come on, guys. But by the way, Cameron says, piggybacking off of JJheat's comic, I noticed that if a Titan book is falling, they'll bring in Slade.
Well,
yeah, because he's the character that really sells a lot of books. He's like bringing Batman on a Wonder Woman book.
Let's not go that far, because at least with the Titans, Deathstroke at least has a precedent to be there.
True.
Because contrary to popular belief, especially if you're a fan of the Arkham games, Deathstroke is a Nightwing and Titans villain first and
not
foremost.
a Batman villain.
Not recently. They've kind of made him a general DC Universe rogue.
Well,
But that's how he started, basically.
Yeah, and then they put him back into DC recently, and Titans recently, claiming he died.
Which, I mean, he did. It's kind of like Captain. It's kind of what happened to Steve and All New, All Different, where he lost his healing factor. But I don't think they explained how Slade got it back, or if Tara just resuscitated him, and he had been laying low for a couple.
It's whoever manipulating things with Tara.
Okay, that makes sense. I am glad that since Judas Contract came out, they retconned away the whole Slade and Tara thing. I'm like, thank you. Can we never have that happen again?
Now,
It was.
I know it would make John Byrne blush.
That aside, it was largely a social commentary on quid pro quo or transactional relationships. As a commentary,
have her older.
Yeah, it was an easy fix. Don't have her post-adolescent. Have her be like 19, have her be like 20 or 22.
18 and older is where it starts being okay.
I'm pretty sure she, at least in the original story, it's implied she was 18, at least from what I'm remembering.
But then later writers kind of tweaked it where she was younger.
It's to the point where they actually where people actually think that Slade is and I go, he's not.
And Ridley did not help and Priest was annoyed at this. Priest was annoyed that right when they were trying to in canon fix things, Ridley then during his other history decided to have it be, Oh yeah, he was. So Tara was the sweet girl. She did nothing wrong with old slaves doing. In other words, Ridley thinks the cartoon is canon.
Okay, in the cartoon, in the Teen Titans 03 version, he manipulated Tara, but nothing beyond that.
But yeah, but it's saying Tara was a sweetheart. No, Tara was never a sweetheart.
No, Tara was a sociopath.
But Ridley in other history had it be she was a sweetheart.
Okay, even in Teen Titans 03, Tara wasn't a bit misguided, yes, but she was not innocent.
No, but she was closer to innocent by
He was
comparison.
closer in that cartoon. It's like even
go get a more accurate version.
That is, yeah.
what
that
do
is
you
the one thing I have to give
of the DC AMU movie?
Oh, in the Camu, it was strictly one-sided. So it basically, at least from what we've seen on screen, other than False Promises, anything involving that subplot was one-sided in the Decamu version.
Oh wait, you want another book I've been reading? I read through. Hold on, let me load it up.
By the way, I finished reading through the Rucka Omnibus. I really love this run. I'm gonna tell you that right there.
Also, another book I've been reading is the current Aquaman run.
It's good, isn't it?
He's coming back to Earth soon.
Good.
But yeah, Crypto, look at it.
By the way, when Brit, our friend Jid showed Brit this book, and she goes, "This is the first time I've ever seen her." And Brit, if you're in the chat, this is the first time I've ever seen her say something positive about a Superman book. She's like, "That is so wholesome."
Okay, hey, it's one of the things that she seems to be enjoying about the new movie is Crypto.
Well, yeah, everyone's enjoying that.
Crypto's definitely going to get people in seats.
Oh boy, Lex finds Crypto.
Oh, interesting.
Oh dear.
Oh, so this is Crypto coming to Earth. Okay.
Yes.
And this is the new, which to be fair, that's always varied.
Yeah,
I think it's good to giving us a new definitive take. I like that.
Yeah, because wasn't it like in the new 52, he jumped in the Phantom Zone to save Clark?
Yep, and he was stuck there for the longest time, only somehow able to appear and help him now and again.
Okay, that makes sense. That's cool.
And then they just ignored him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he did end up getting shelved for years. I think it was up until Rebirth he was brought back. He was shelved. He was shelved for the majority of the New 52.
Oh, duh! Green Lantern Corps.
Wait, what's going on? Oh yeah, that book's pretty decent.
And
I like that book.
So apparently they didn't retcon Teen Lantern's origin. That was someone messing with her mind.
Wait, so it's still she hacked the ring?
No, okay. That was already made clear, and he should not be names wrong. She never hacked it. She was given the gauntlet by someone.
So what was retconned? Or not retconned?
No. They made it seem like, oh, what actually happened was the person told her, this is horrible, you shouldn't use the gauntlet. And she's like, wait, that's not what happened. Turns out it's someone messing in their psyches.
Okay, that makes sense. But can I say, Green Lantern Corps, Jeremy Adams is giving Simon something to do.
Yep, and he brought back the space cabbie.
Yeah, when I saw
I just remembered. Other than being he was a good support, and other than giving Jessica Cruz someone to talk to, Simon's biggest contribution was in the first Lantern storyline. Yeah. After that, he is adequately shelved for. He made cameos here and there, but he has been actively shelved since.
Okay, here's the thing. He was created as a plot point. Jessica was actually given character development during Justice League, because the only reason why Simon was around was so someone could have Sinestro and Hal's combined ring in the main universe so they can come back. Why else do you think some people seem to think he's Jessica's sidekick?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, JJheat. That's literally what the character designer for Batman Ninja 2 said. What he said was, so DC requested that Jessica Cruz be the Green Lantern for the movie, so I did research because I didn't know who Jessica Cruz is, and then I saw that she had a sidekick named Simon Bass. Oh my god! He's not wrong, but I'm like, oh god.
By the way, here's another book I've been reading.
How is that?
Godzilla versus Avengers.
All these are really good. You have Godzilla versus Fing Fang Foom. And then Jet Jaguar. But here, it's set during the New Avengers era.
Oh, that's cool. By the way, so it's kind of interesting. So obviously, Predators Kill the Marvel Universe is coming out. Sal from Comic Pop, when he was reviewing the Wolverine book, was like, inevitably, it's gonna be the Predators versus the Marvel Universe. Like all the Predators show up.
Also, take a look.
Oh yeah, Geiger. I hear that's good. I
Oh.
haven't checked it out.
It is so good. And then we have Geiger versus his female counterpart.
So there's another Geiger.
Yep. And she's able to control it better. Oh, because she's a woman. Woke!
Yeah, exactly. But I gotta say, the coloring on that is unbelievable.
It is. It is.
I mean, Brad Anderson, so there is that. That kind of helps.
And this is Gary Frank perfected.
Yeah, this like normally I'm not the biggest fan of his faces, but particularly on Secret Origin, but I think he gets it here. By the way, I love Cameron. I only remember Simon as the Lantern with a gun.
But even then they dropped that fast.
Yeah, they did. But anyway, so let's talk about our last topic of the night, which is James Gunn talk with the DCU. So first thing I want to talk about. So he clarified Paradise Lost. He said Paradise Lost is separate from the Wonder Woman movie, which we all thought that it was going to end up like that.
I did like how he was trying to get it right. Like, it's not connected. Okay, technically it is. Like, I love that. You can so tell that was a very real response where you later realize, okay, I don't want to shoot myself in the foot.
Yeah, exactly. Which, to be fair, it's like, yeah, it has to be. Well, I think what he was trying to say is that it's not required viewing, but it's not like an Elseworlds project because he has to clarify that.
Exactly. Which I also like how he recently clarified Elseworld projects are not going to just be something where he'll just approve it willy-nilly.
Yeah, because again, it still affects the DC brand identity if it comes out. So I'm like, okay, and that works. And
now we did get a confirmation. Sergeant Rock is not the canceled project. I think it's Authority.
I was about to say, I think it's Authority.
Yeah. Authority is going to get restructured. It's either going to be restructured as an animated movie, or it's going to be a direct to HBO Max release,
or it's going to be canceled. Period.
Give an engineer. I don't think so.
Who says
engineers
they're going to have engineer be a member of the Authority?
Well, I'm just saying they're already establishing a character associated with them that does get the ball rolling.
Yeah, but if the project never came to fruition, it's not the engineer's fault.
True.
No. I would say that if you are going to keep the Authority around, I would have saved them at least. I would have saved them for Chapter 2, particularly a Superman sequel where they're stand-ins for the Elite, because they technically did inspire the Elite in that story, or at least their characters did, since they were separate from DC at the time. Right. I would have saved the Authority as antagonists or secondary villains for Superman for Superman sequel, and then give them a brief spin-off film or a spin-off series, and done it that way. I would not have included Authority in Chapter 1. But again, if it was a carryover project prior to the merger and it ultimately decided to scrap it, then I'd understand that too.
By the way, there was one other book I wanted to share that I've been looking over.
Yeah, let's
okay.
I haven't read this yet. This is on my pull list because it's my lady. It's my lady.
Just wanted to show off the artwork.
So is this taking place? Okay, so it's taking place in the Claremont era where she's a villain.
Yes. That's why it's called the White Cream. But yeah, Andrea DeVito. I have not seen this artist's artwork in a long time.
It looks so good.
It's classic. It looks classic.
It looks like those old Byrne Claremont like books.
Yeah. Well, I just go classic in that it's the old school style.
Yeah, I love that. I'm looking forward to checking it out because naturally, if Emma Frost has any book, I need it. I
just wanted to show that because I realized, oh, wait, Jared's got to see this.
Thank you. I appreciate that. But Cameron asked, it didn't Gunn have an Authority movie with Superman? No. Again, it's like most of the projects that he announced 3 years ago now were carryovers / reality placeholders until he could get an actual plan. That's why if you notice, as they started announcing their own stuff, those projects started to vanish.
Or
Yep.
or get delayed and pushed on the back burner.
Yeah.
Or take less precedent and let other, like some of the creators they had in mind, continue to do their own other projects.
Mhm.
Like Creature Commando, carryover. My
Oh, yeah.
Adventures of Superman,
Well,
carryover.
that's not even canon, but yeah.
No, I'm not saying it's canon to the DCU. I'm just using it as an example. It was
Right.
a carryover project.
Well, yeah.
Peacemaker, yeah, exactly.
The Batman. No, Beware the Batman or whatever that.
Cape Crusader.
Cape
Cape
Crusader.
Crusader.
Cape
Yeah,
Crusader.
yeah, that's true. So it's like okay, I kind of get it.
Well,
And
Cape Crusader got sold off and redistributed by Amazon.
But that was still a carryover, yeah.
and here's the thing: from the language that Gunn used, I think the Authority is actually canon because he used we had to kill a movie or like a
Yeah.
project. You don't say kill unless it's not happening under any circumstances.
Yep, but then like I said, he then made it. First we thought it was Sergeant Rock, but he since made that clear. Nope, that's still in production, in works.
Which I'm happy for because there is potential with that. That's really cool, particularly as it's set up by Creature Commandos.
But I still think, especially if you're going to utilize engineer and with Jim Lee as a movie consultant, you want to use at least like Midnight or Apollo, at least a basic version of the Authority in some way. Maybe not their own project going into Chapter 2, but at the very least secondary villains for Superman versus the Elite adaptation.
That could be the Superman sequel that Gunn is talking about.
I would feel like, especially since they directly inspired the Elite. So I definitely feel like that would be a better way to go about it rather than just rushing their own project.
Like what you could do, so it technically follows the story of Superman, but doesn't have to. The Justice Gang thing, Lord sees like the hole in that. Like these guys are ultimately still good heroes, which Gunn confirmed they are still good people. So then he's like, okay, I need actual like morally ambiguous people.
Cutthroat villains.
Yeah,
or the
but
very least.
Dave says, I hope Swamp Thing wasn't canceled.
That seems to be a long burn. That's a slow burn, I think.
Yeah, that's going to be a long way down the line.
Mango's a slow writer.
Mm-hmm.
But
Batman Brave and the Bold got pushed back to a 2027 release.
Mm-hmm.
Clayface is coming out sooner, and it's going to be R-rated. There is a script already in the can. The Titans casting is not true.
Okay, because I actually did want to briefly talk about that. I'll go into more detail in a proper video on my channel, cheap plug. But my prediction, unless it's a flashback, unless this is a period piece or flashback, I don't see the O3, which is just a modern revamp of the new Teen Titans roster, unless it is a flashback project, because Nightwing's already going to be established.
They did say though that it is going to be using the cartoon lineup.
They did confirm that.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, that's mostly the Wolfman Perez ride, just minus a few, and they'll probably slip in.
Though I think what they meant was at the minimum it's those characters, but honestly think they're going to use the Wolfman Perez lineup.
Which again, it's pretty much the cartoon, just minus a few characters.
Minus Wally West, Donna Troy. Well, Roy was part of the Titans East team. Was a part of the Titans East team.
True.
Yeah, in Volume 1, it was Cyborg, eventually Nightwing, Starfire, Beast Boy, otherwise known as Changeling back in the day, and then Donna.
Raven didn't debut till later, and that led to the Trigon the Terrible storyline.
Oh, by the way, did you hear that apparently Ryan Reynolds, when James Gunn was announced as doing DC, he congratulated him. Gunn said, "Do you want to play Green Lantern again?" Reynolds said, "F off."
Yeah. That's great. I love that.
I'm positive Gunn was being a smart ass.
Yeah, and Cameron's right. If you're gonna do the general audience, the original lineup from the cartoon, that's a minimum. What you do is you take that. Here are the characters that have to be on the team, and then add to that.
But is it going to be a flashback project? Because again, you're not going to be able to have them as teenagers because we don't want a repeat of Titans.
Well, it depends on who the Robin is. Because again, it's like it could be Tim Drake is the Robin.
Now, by the way, Cameron, unless we go to Young Justice route, unfortunately, Young Justice, it's just, let's be honest, let's just get right away. The cartoon was just basically Teen Titans with a different name because they didn't want to be affiliated with it.
That and it was more
It's
of a
more
spy
mature Teen Titans.
Yeah, before the DCAMU.
more mature Teen Titans with a spy thriller twist.
Yeah.
Except
That's
not as good as Teen Titans. I'm just gonna tell you that right there.
oh yeah, I actually do have a video about that in the works. Teen Titans versus Young Justice. Teen Titans is a better show overall, but Young Justice has a more built-in fan base, especially once you factor the revival.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so overall, it's like, again, there's stuff that's making me a little hyped for the future in terms of where this could go. And I'm waiting to see obviously I'm waiting to see what happens after Superman comes out, because you want to see if they're going to adjust or anything like that.
To be fair, that was something that has been clarified since. Obviously, if it bombs, that's another story.
If it flashes, yeah, they're not continuing.
I don't know if they're not continuing or just going to do a major overhaul. But as far as if it doesn't reach $1 billion or if it just makes its budget back, it's safe because they're willing to take a hit on things.
Which I'm like, that's the healthy attitude for them to have right now.
Yeah.
Obviously it could hit $1 billion because you never know. And this movie does have hype. So for all we know, it could like explode. But that's why I said the max, the least I think it's going to make is slightly less than Man of Steel. The most is like the Batman.
Probably, but
somewhere in that window. And again, it could make a lot more, but I'm saying that's realistically where I could see it falling.
Yep, and again, it's as long as it makes a profit, they'll take a hit and not course correct. They'll be like, oh no, because we're in this for the long haul. We're not banking on this to be, because even as Gunn put out, Iron Man was not a huge hit.
Now, here's the thing. If Superman, Supergirl, and Lanterns all don't do well, then they'll go, okay, we gotta quit this. But yeah, one project,
not quit it, course correct first,
course correct it. Well, let me put it this way: most, if not all, of the obscure characters projects are gone. If the WB is like, okay, we have to step in a little bit. Give us the actual Justice League.
Now, I do think then Clayface is also, by the time they make that decision, Clayface will be
too far in production.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they're not going to go through the PR nightmare again that was when they canceled Batgirl when it was almost done.
Now, can I ask you guys, do you honestly think Batgirl was as bad as some people think it was going to be?
No.
All right.
I don't trust WB, particularly the old WB's, assertion on what's good or not.
All right, I'm just asking.
Because remember, this is the crew where we got Justice League.
And I believe this was around the time with Hamada, because he technically was going to rush a Crisis adaptation to reboot everything.
By the way, I gotta say, I did like how Gunn clarified the whole Guillermo del Toro Justice League Dark Project by saying, he's never said anything! Mm-hmm. And basically, it's the whole case of people took things out of context. Like they bring up the whole, give Steven Spielberg that Black Hawk movie. Steven's never said anything.
Oh, so no one's like come to him and said, hey, I want to do this?
No one has said anything. And he said how it's like when he was once asked if you, like he said years ago, I said I want to make a Thunderbolts movie. I was in a convention somewhere and somebody asked me, what did I want to do that wasn't Guardians of the Galaxy? I said Thunderbolts. And for years and years, it's like, James Gunn should be allowed to make a Thunderbolts movie. I have a million things that I thought I wanted to do in certain moments.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's what he's saying, the same to his Del Toro and Spielberg. Those were in-the-moment comments that people are just holding on to.
It's like if I said, I'd love to make a Wonder Woman movie.
Yeah, but we know you mean it. You're going to hold on to that.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, James, call me up. By the way, Dave says Superman could open less than 100 million. That could be, yeah, but again, it's like it all depends on like word of mouth too. Because here's the thing, yes, that's the opening. That's why I say what will define this movie is the second and to a more major effect the third week, because then you'll start to see are like average people, not just shill reviewers saying you have to see this movie.
And as they look at Elemental, that did a lousy at the start and crawled up.
Yeah, because it could happen where it has a slow opening, but then ekes to like just profiting, which again, they'll take that as a win and say, okay, we profited.
Correct me if I'm wrong. JJheat, correct me if I'm wrong, but didn't Elemental go beyond just making us profit? Didn't it actually make a success afterwards?
It did make a marginal success, but it didn't sell gangbusters.
Right. It wasn't like some of their best Pixar movies, but at least it wasn't the bomb that was Lightyear.
Yeah,
oh no, Lightyear fell off a cliff. I believe the second week box office drop was more than 60%, if I remember.
Cameron says if Batwoman took off, Batgirl would have taken off as well. Nope. I don't think that's true. No, trust me.
That was a CW show. No relation to the movies.
And Cameron, I gotta say this. I'm gonna play this clip right now. It's not a Trinity clip, so don't worry, guys. But it's this.
Why did you say that name?
Because it's it's Batwoman, and that show was. I watched the first episode and I was out.
What garbage?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
This isn't even comic hate.
The only thing I will ever like with the Christ episode, because we had Kevin Conroy's live action Batman.
That was good.
Even then they butchered it.
They turned him into murderous Batman. I'm like, what?
Just so she can kill him and be like, I'm better.
Hey, I'm pretty sure that actually was the Batwoman episode of the Cross.
Yes, it was. That's what I said.
Hey, Robert, they have a word for that. It's on the internet a lot. That's woke.
Yep.
That is definitely woke.
It was already woke the moment you heard it'll look better once it's on a woman.
Not to mention, I don't even think that was a proper Kate Kane. I think they just made a gender bent Bruce and called it a day.
And then they replaced her.
Even Bruce.
And then they replaced her.
Also,
you know when this worked? The original Birds of Prey.
Yeah,
the original Birds of Prey series. Yeah, I'll give you that.
That actually worked.
We gotta talk about that once for
that is a very underrated show.
I keep hearing people either recommend it or tell me to cover it. So I'm like,
great! Oh, it was mid when it first came out. Especially compared to Smallville and other adaptations, it was mid.
Smallville got mid.
It fell off by the end, but you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like, Robert, remember in Smallville, Hawkman's Batman voice? Who are you, Arrow Boy? I go, what? Literally every time Hawkman spoke, I was laughing my ass off.
You know,
Hawkman was pretty much Smallville's Batman stand-in because the bat embargo was in full effect by that point.
Yep. Hold on, I was just looking up when Supergirl first started, that was both CW and CBS. And I'll be honest, I prefer the CBS first season because that one was balanced. When it went to CW, that's when it got woke up the butt.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely by season 3, but season 2 was kind of a transition season.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't as bad, but you could tell the cracks were forming.
Season 3 onwards is when it basically you had Berlanti have complete control and all that. And Berlanti, okay, he's not the worst creator, but he's still a snake in that he set things up, try and stay as close to comic accurate as possible, and then once he was able to get all this control, decide, I'm going to screw everything up.
Berlanti is like...
That's a snake. That's a snake, right?
He's a snake. But at least the main difference between Berlanti and Bruce Timm, you know what you're getting with Berlanti. You know what you're getting with Bruce Timm, excuse me. Bruce Timm, you just got to rein in for the most part.
Yeah. He's still faithful, mostly.
But Berlanti, he'll throw a curveball any chance he gets, especially if he's working with Greg Weisman. But that's a separate conversation.
But I would say this though: give me Berlanti over Mark Guggenheim any day.
Oh, definitely.
In fact, Guggenheim was the one who Jeff Johns did one of the rare times he did a direct pot shot at someone, calling out how you have Black Canary, you have a TV show with Green Arrow. But you create a Dinah, but you never make her Black Canary. Who does that?
Or it gets worse when you literally have 3 Black Canaries, all of which have some variation of a sonic attack.
and yet they never pair them up with. They never do any of that stuff
because they were listening to the shippers. Because even when they brought in Dinah Drake, who honestly, the actress,
Alex Kingston, I think, was that Alex Kingston as Dinah?
I want to say that was Alex Kingston.
It was the one that actually played Dinah Drake, and I go, not a bad casting. She looks and sounds like Dinah. Yeah, don't put the.
I'm sorry. I know Felicity was an original character.
Hang
I know Felicity was an original character for the show, but at best, Felicity was. You know what? I really didn't want to make this because all Green Arrow gets a lot of slack for being a cheery or happy-go-lucky Batman knockoff. He gets a lot of flack for that.
Speaking
even though
of that, by the way, JJheat, Cameron says, and Ryan is Red Death when you literally have Oliver Queen, right? You could have made him Red Death.
Oh, I take it back. This was Juliana Harkavi. That was Dinah Drake. Dinah Lance was Alex Kingston.
Okay, thank you for clearing that up, Robert.
When you see Dinah Drake, she literally is a metahuman with the screaming powers. And I go, so you have her there. She's there. Do you put her with Oliver Queen? No.
Felicity being an original character aside, I felt like she was just an Oracle ripoff and just a workaround because of the bad embargo.
Yeah, but that was Guggenheim, but he's like, there's our canary.
Yeah, but you forgot okay, Robert, I'm gonna say something I never thought I'd say on Comic Sig. You ready? That's like a Superman show without Lois Lane. Because here's the thing, as much as I hate her, I'll even admit, and Robert, you know I've admitted this on your show, I'm not saying eliminate her from Superman entirely, because she plays a role. You can't eliminate her!
Just like, to a point, you cannot just get rid of Steve's existence. You can limit it, but you can't remove it.
Yeah, exactly. But I'm like, you literally, yes, exactly, JJheat. You
Yeah.
literally take Oliver's the one romance he is known for having. Britain, I did an episode on this. Pretty Bird, exactly. And you don't do it, and you dangle it not once, not twice, but
three times.
Thrice?
Yep.
That was when I checked out of that show, and I'm like, oh, you're not even trying now, are ya?
Again, the way Arrow was structured, you could tell they wanted to make a Batman show. Technically, they could have gotten away with it too. The only difference is they couldn't afford the licensing fee because Gotham only used Jim Gordon, the Gotham Central storylines, and a little bit of young Bruce before he leaves for his training.
It gets worse. You compare it. So if you're comparing that's era to Batman and Felicity's basically Oracle, does that mean Berlanti is copying Bruce Timm and having Batman bang Barbara Gordon?
Why did you have to reference that line?
I'm sorry. I had to. You set it up.
Wait, here's the direct quote of Jeff Johns from Mark Guggenheim. Let's say you've been given the position of writing Green Arrow from scratch. Clean slate. You might say, okay, I'm going to write this new character. And when someone says, well, what about Black Canary? You might say, nope. That means you completely misunderstand these characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's been the biggest problem with the Arrowverse for the longest time. Just pick and choosing, in-name only, original replacements. That's why I loved when Jeff Johns did Stargirl. He used characters that actually existed.
CW never really turned a profit from a network standpoint. These more obscure characters were cheaper to acquire.
You know what, Robert?
Licensing.
That is why I have the DCEU aside. As a creative who understands DC characters, I have the utmost respect for Jeff Johns.
Wonder Woman aside.
He does that. You know, it's kind of funny that when I did my rating Wonder Woman writers on there, I mentioned that. I said he can do any other character but Diana. But Wonder Woman aside, let's wait. No. The guy understands the importance of all these characters. At least he gets that.
Yeah, it's their character. Even Wonder Woman, he does. It's the characterization.
Yeah,
he
exactly.
doesn't.
Where I'm like, what is this?
I still don't get it.
But yeah. Oh, remember, Robert? You see, Diana, your problem is you've been a goddess, you've been a justice, you've been a superhero, but you've never been human.
And she's hearing that from Earth too soon. This was the Diana who worked at a fast food joint and did not see it was beneath her. She smiled.
Was an ambassador where she did volunteer work with people. There was literally an issue where she took Lois everywhere.
I'd use these fast food joints because that's even more relatable to humanity.
Exactly. Like Cameron just said, don't forget, they literally gave him the lead.
Oh, here's another thing.
They just used Talia. They just used Nessa Al Ghul instead of Talia.
Talia
JJheat.
later appeared.
You know what? One of the things that royally took me off the Arrowverse and made me just drop it? They have Kate Spencer in there, and they kill her off, and she never becomes Manhunter.
Oh.
What?
I left after Diggle never became the stand-in for Jon Stewart because that was set up.
Didn't they also say his name is Jon Stewart?
But I left after that. When they kill off Kate, I'm like, you're wasting characters. You're wasting characters.
You know what they did, right? So remember that box lands and we all assumed it was a Green Lantern ring? It wasn't. Yes. It was a box designed to tempt him and make him fall. Literally, they reveal this on Green Arrow's last appearance where he's the Spectre.
Okay, I will say that Green Arrow becoming the Spectre was
that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And I gotta be honest, Oliver's like farewell was so well done.
I mean,
highlight of that season.
If you needed to end it, that was the best way to end it.
And I'm kind of glad they didn't do that Green Arrow and the Canary show because that would have been bad. I gotta be honest. Yeah, that would have been bad. I'm like, thank you for ending that.
But I will say this though, because if it weren't CW, because CW never commercially turned a profit, they had a lot of good shows, but it never really turned a profit. But if it was on that, if they weren't shackled with the CW, they could have afforded, because all Gotham did was Jim Gordon, Gotham Central characters, and a young Bruce Wayne sprinkled about. They
ended with Batman.
Yeah, they didn't use Batman until the very last episode, but by proxy of the Bat embargo, if one active Batman or Bruce Wayne project was in play, you could not have another Batman appear on another project at the same time. Mm-hmm. Bruce never became Batman in Gotham until the very end. So if the showrunners, if they were given another network to work with and could actually afford the licensing fee, they could have made a Batman show. It just had to be exclusively Batman.
Yeah. Because of course they allowed the last episode. Last episode is the only time they make an exception because it's the ending.
Yeah, exactly. If Arrowverse was on Netflix, it would have
been. It was distributed on Netflix for the longest time.
But he means developed by you know
well,
what I mean?
There would have been a budget, and we could have seen more of the better villains.
But here's the thing, though: with the same creative team, they wouldn't have cared.
Yeah, that's the problem.
Again, look what I just quoted from Jeff Johns about Mark Guggenheim. They'd sooner use original characters because they didn't care. Jeff was if there was another case where they couldn't use them, you know Jeff would have acknowledged that. When it's a case where they just didn't care.
The only CW show where they clearly cared was Superman.
Yeah,
Superman and Lois and maybe Flash.
Not at the end, though.
No.
Early seasons of the Flash. Early seasons. Up to season 3.
Here we go. Robert's gonna screw you.
When was Iris ever Dr. Light?
Wait, they actually made an episode with Iris and Dr. Light?
From the alternate Earth.
Okay, this had to be a season. This had to be after Avatar. Wait, when was this?
Hold on, let me look.
I love Robert. He's like, nope, no, JJheat, no.
Hold on.
This had to be a filler episode.
I love how, by the way, I love how this Robert moment is a follow-up to our book off from last week. This is great.
Hold on, I'm trying to find out which episode this was.
Because I'm pretty sure. It had to be a filler episode.
Season 2.
It had to be a filler episode because I would have remembered.
This was the start of the Earth 2 stuff.
It had to be a filler episode. Like, let me go back to the episode order. This had to be a filler episode.
Darkness and light. The darkness and light. And she's a criminal.
Also, Dave brings up a good point. In Arrow, didn't they kill off Ted Cord?
No. I don't think Ted Cord was alluded to in the Arrowverse at all.
I think he was.
And let me phrase that. She wasn't Irish. She was Linda.
Okay, thank you.
But still, that's not Asian.
Wait a minute. Linda. Yeah, that. Okay. Say what you will about
Kimio Hoshi.
Robert, please. Say what you will about Flash falling off. But the biggest biggest nitpick of that show is that they effectively turned Barry into Wally, and then Wallace West just became a Wally replacement.
To be fair, they were doing that since the animated series.
No, but no, hang on, JJheat. Remember, you're not Team Flash. We are. You're not the Flash. We are.
Boo this man!
Or remember when Godspeed is running? All of the velocities will be mine.
But by the way, here, a copy. Don't click on it. Copy and paste it.
Okay, copy and paste it. All right.
Because it didn't fully send it.
All right.
Okay, I'm looking it up now.
Hang on. It doesn't. Okay. Oh, Kimio. Her name is Kimio Yoshi.
Well, no, that's what she normally is, but in this world, she is Linda.
No, in the Flash, it still says her name is Kimio.
No, because there is in Legends of Tomorrow.
No, it says
there was
Origin the Flash.
Yeah, it was. I remember this. This was a standalone filler episode in season 2 where Barry was rebounding with Linda. I remember.
No. Okay, but this was a separate. Okay, season 6 and 7 they brought Kimiyoshi, but the original appearance was Linda.
All right, back. Is it this? Hang on, this might be it.
Yeah, that's right. Yep,
that's her.
One of the breachers sent by Zoom to kill the Flash.
Yep, that lost
Linda
me.
Park.
Tells you right there.
Well, you fell off early on. That was a.
All right, hang on.
That's one of my favorite characters of all time.
This is Robert. Is that not you, my friend?
Minus the Trinity part, yeah.
Replace Trinity with the CW logo, and that's you.
Yes, because that's when it lost me, because Dr. Light is a character I adore. She is one of my favorite characters, and to see her just utilized as an alternate Linda Park.
Yeah, exactly. What
the hell? And made her a villain.
In the DCU, Wally was the Flash was exclusively Wally West in the DCAU.
But they gave him Barry's backstory.
Yeah,
their backstory is literally the same. The only difference is Barry was already.
It wasn't.
No,
JJheat. Remember, you still have the important connection. Basically, it's like Wally was Miles before Miles existed.
Okay.
Yeah.
You need Flash. You need Flash to exist for Wally to exist.
And by the way, Dave says Stargirl was the best. Yeah, I'll give you that.
In terms of accuracy, but that's because Jeff Johns
was heavily involved. Of course, it's going to be accurate to a show about a character that's based off his sister.
Well, tribute to her, but yes.
Which I'm like, yeah. And honestly, again, another occasion of where a creator creates a character that's actually really cool. I like Stargirl a lot. She's really cool. And she was also in what's the word?
She was in Young Justice, but she didn't have a direct role.
No, I mean Smallville. By the way, yeah, in the JSA episode, they also have like Dr. Light is like crazy. We're like Kent is crazy because the helmet's right. Is that a thing?
When conversing with the Lords of Order, there have been depictions where Cantor the Wielder can be driven mad.
Yes.
But those circumstances are few and far between.
Okay.
That is something that's similar to Injustice, where they decide they want to use him and control him. Most of the time, he's not controlled by Order and Fate. Usually, he is separate from them.
He can be driven mad. He can be bound to the helm itself. But, yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Okay, I was wondering about that because I thought that was a CW trying to force in some stuff.
No. By the way, you know what is really something, guys? How many Kent Nelsons have there been?
3.
Nope.
5?
5 Kent Nelson adaptations?
Yeah. Oh, no, not adaptation. I mean redos in the universe.
Okay, his character's been about 5 times.
Okay, wait a minute. Maybe not 5, because no, wait. I'm mistaking it for Kent V. Nelson.
Yep.
That was my mistake. That was my
If
mistake.
you're not counting Kent V. Nelson, it's at least 3.
No. I thought them at 5. And Jared, that's the one you and I went over. Countdown the Mystery.
Oh yeah, the Dr. Fate thing. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that one. Boy, talk about one that got screwed over by the death of the creator.
What was the book about that girl that's like a voodoo person and like it's like she owns a like witch shop or something?
Xanadu?
Madam Xanadu?
The future.
Xanadu?
No, it was a character that was only appearing in that series.
Tarot.
Yeah, exactly.
From the Trinity series. Yeah, Tarot.
That's the one. And I was like, yeah, I like that character a lot.
Oh boy, you know what? Dave just got me thinking of this. I would have loved for them to make a Jack Knight Starman show. That is a show that should have been on CW.
That low-key, relatively obscure character, cheap setting. CW actually could have pulled that off.
And come look at this. You could have had Gorilla Grodd, but he wouldn't have to be the big CGI monster. You could have had him a simple guy wearing suspenders and all that, and just have white makeup caked on him. Maybe a little bit of padding to make him look unformed.
Mm-hmm. That actually works.
Yeah, but James Robinson owns that. Although apparently, according to Ron Mars, he doesn't. Because they used him in the 0 Hours 30th anniversary. I DM'd Ron Mars and asked, how did you guys ask for permission? He says, we don't have to ask permission. To which I'm like, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was something they were honor bound.
Unless the copyright was never patented.
No. It was similar to Gaiman's Sandman, where there was more of a unspoken contract, a spoken contract. My guess is they asked, didn't tell, and just ahead of time, and didn't tell Ron that they told him that they asked. That's my guess.
If only Chuck Dixon had patented Bernard.
No, that wasn't Chuck. That was Bill Willingham.
If only Bill Willingham had done that, could have saved us a lot of headaches.
To be fair, though, Bill Willingham didn't really care. He was just a minor character, and the one person who really cared was Fitzmartin.
Which, if you go back to Fitzmartin's interview, she really wanted to pair Tim and Connor, but editorial wouldn't let her.
And she chose Bernard because she thought it would tick off a conservative writer, but it didn't.
Yeah. Dixon didn't take the bait.
No. Willingham, JJheat.
Willingham, thank you.
Yeah, sorry. I want to make that clear.
Please, by all means, correct me.
Bill Willingham.
Because I know Chuck was like, not like pissed, but he was tiffed because he came on my show to talk about it.
Yeah, but I think he was more mad on Willingham's behalf.
Yeah, because he knows why they're doing it.
Oh yeah, I mean when it's so blatantly obvious. But yeah, Dave said they could have had a Jack Knight series set in the 90s. Sylvester Permitan becomes Sandman in the Stargirl show's universe.
Mm-hmm.
A prequel to the Stargirl show, it could have worked.
I mean, hey, Robinson worked on Stargirl.
So
exactly.
It's pull-offable.
But you know what? One thing I think still holds over Robinson that he can never get away from?
What?
He wrote League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, the movie.
He did.
Is that a bad thing?
Dude, a movie adaptation. The one that led to Sean Connery quitting movies. One of the ones that truly pushed Alan Moore over the edge of not caring about his adaptations.
Alan Moore had a breakdown when that movie came out. It was ugly.
Because they started the adaptation before the first issue came out.
Yeah, they rushed it. They just took the original manuscripts and rushed it into production.
Because why? It was the easiest thing you can get in production because they were all public domain characters, which I gotta say, really tells me how much of a hypocrite Alan Moore is. He hates people using his own ideas. Excuse me, sir. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
That's what you
Lost
did.
Girls.
Yeah.
Lost Girls. He took some of the young female girls like Wendy Darling or Alice in Wonderland and gave us the sexual adventures they had.
What?
Yeah, Robert, you're gonna get us demonetized.
I don't know how old they were.
Okay, I have
Yeah,
to.
yeah, we got to draw
have
the
to.
line here.
I'm just saying.
One
the
more.
fact the guy.
More.
What is this?
Why do you think I don't give Alan Moore that much credit?
Alan Moore is an acclaimed writer. No one's refuting that.
Yeah,
Right.
but he's upset that people are profiting from his work. You don't own Watchmen, a-hole.
Not only that though, he was upset that Jeff Johns utilized the prophecy of the Blackest Night.
Yeah.
You don't own that concept either.
He did consult on that script and Jeff Johns screwed him over. Like, come on.
Wait, what? He did?
Allegedly, going off from
I don't buy it.
Allegedly, again, going off of Alan Moore, I've never heard that otherwise, and it doesn't seem like something Jeff would do.
No, it definitely does not. This feels more like he was just upset that they used it, and the fact that it's like, well, you were going to use it for Try the Superheroes. That never happened. It's lingering there. Let someone else use it. Don't be all like, oh, they can't come up with original ideas.
Once again, you don't own the idea. It never ceases to annoy me when some people think that because they created a concept or an idea in DC and the big two comics particularly, that they own those ideas or characters.
It's one thing when you're a household name and you're under an exclusivity or an exclusive contract. That's one thing. But if you're a freelancer dropping off a script for a graphic novel or a storyline, you have no credence or show power, for lack of a better term, in that situation. And they can sometimes reuse or repurpose your manuscript if your pitch gets rejected or the project falls through. Does that happen? Yes. What happened with Stan Lee or even Kirby and even some other industry giants happened to them as well. It does happen. However, Alan Moore is not one of them. If anything, Alan Moore benefited from those sleazy dealings more than any other creator during his generation.
I'm like, excuse me, your name is known forever in comic book dumb for Watchmen, bro.
And
Killing Joke.
Don't get me started on what Jared and I talked about, the pettiness of his anger at DC for Watchmen. What did he expect DC to do? Just let this popular book go out of print just so we can get the rights?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Wait, didn't he get royalties for Watchmen?
Sorry if your project was popular.
That's not what he wanted. He was supposed to be, once they went out of print, which was a standard deal at the time, that they would the characters would have lapsed to him once Watchmen went out of print. It never went out of print
because the book was so good.
And they rushed the movie. No. We're not talking about the movie. We're talking about the fact that it was in college curriculums.
It legitimized comic books. I'm sorry, bro.
The only graphic novel on the New York Times greatest novels.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Do you really think DC is just going to let that book go away? This is what I tell people. This is what I tell people. DC is not a charity. It's a company. If you give it something that profits,
they're going to use
extremely profits, of course they're going to use it.
Now,
why is this a foreign concept?
And to make this clear, I think part of why he got upset was because it didn't sell that great during the individual issues. It was the trade when it took off. Now, people like to say, oh, it influenced comics since immediately when it came out. No, it didn't. No. That wasn't until New 52.
Years later.
Well, because here's why. You needed the generation that grew up on Watchmen to get old enough and get into the industry.
Yeah, exactly. So that does make a little Jeff Johns act like it started with Watchmen a little not fair.
Alan Moore claims collected editions didn't really exist back then. More straight
trade
up line.
Paperbacks
They did.
Trade paperbacks were consistent as far back as the 80s. What are you talking about?
What year did Watchmen come out, JJheat?
85, 86.
Yep.
All right.
Where is it? Where is it?
Look what I have. I have a Dark Knight Returns graphic novel from 86.
That's
Robert-
in the family. This
Robert-
is from 88.
86 collected. You're lying, Alan Moore. You're lying.
And you know what? This was so cheap. First of all, and you want to know how cheap this and is the pay? What? $5. $5, and the paper is so thin.
Mm-hmm. At least in this, it's pretty like held up,
Nope.
but still.
Either way,
Ah!
Yep. You've lost this one, Jared.
You douchebag!
Not to mention, trade paperbacks usually emerged in the market as early as the 1960s.
yeah, the quarterlies.
Yeah, bro.
I don't have a physical. I don't have the physical ones with me. They're at my parents' house, but I do have scans of an example of that.
Here's the thing. Alan Moore's got to be the first creative I've ever heard of that's pissed off that people like his work.
Because he can't get the rights to it.
So
And that
bummed.
was the original agreement. If they never did anything with it, an adaptation or anything that would garner reprinting or reselling of the book, if it never officially lapsed, the rights can never default back to him. Alan Moore signed a contract. He knew what he was getting into.
Standard.
It was the standard practice at the time, especially in the early 80s. Not to mention, this was an Elseworld story right off the cusp of Crisis on Infinite Earths. There was it was a pretty good chance that this was just going to be a standalone story and the rights would have defaulted to him. No one's going to fault Alan Moore for thinking that. However, the book got traction. DC found a loophole and he was screwed over. I don't fault Alan Moore for that situation. I fault Alan Moore for how he reacted to it.
Well, as time went on, anyway.
Yes.
By the way, here's an example of a trade. The old digest. Old Gold Key digest.
Yeah, exactly. And then it's like this is when I start to say shut up when he starts insulting the intelligence of comic book fans. I think he really resents people for constantly buying his book because he'll never get the rights back for those characters because of that.
Well, they offered him. They actually offered him the rights when they were going to do it before Watchmen. They'll say, we'll give you the rights back if you want to do a new story. And he would be like, screw you.
Yeah, dude, you were going to get what you want, but your pride got in the way.
It's why I would say this. The only time I could ever accept him wanting to say, like, don't put my name on it was when he said, call me the original writer for his Miracle Man, because he wants the actual creator's name to be recognized.
Which that makes sense. See, that's mature. That's nice.
That is how it is, right, JJheat?
Yeah, that's usually how it goes.
Yeah, he wants to be called the original creator because he doesn't want his name slapped on it and have it be that they're only buying it for his work. They want to buy it for the character, and that goes to the estate of the creator. Who, boy, did you know the funny thing is? Did you know that the creator of Miracle Man had the rights for the longest time? But that turns out no one knew until years later he did. So technically, the Miracle Man or Marvel Man, whatever, that was done, Alan Moore did, was illegal.
Technically.
By the way, Dave brings up a good point. Alan Moore hates superheroes so much he claimed their popularity will lead to fascist dictatorships.
You know what? I'm positive he just says that so people will stop coming asking him questions. I don't think he means it. No. I really don't. I think he just said that because he thinks if I say the most outlandish thing, people will stop coming and bothering me.
And yeah, I do feel for Alan Moore his situation to an extent, especially given the behind-the-scenes dealings. But he did not hell, and like Jared said, his pride got the better. If he did an exclusive contract, 1 year, 2 year contract to write a sequel or even another story connected to Watchmen, he technically could have negotiated the original adaptation and distribution rights as a bargaining chip.
Yeah.
If he had just swallowed his pride and agreed to do the book, he would have gotten what he wanted.
Exactly, but it was too far, too long. This is why I mostly pay attention to Dave Gibbons Although I do feel Dave being a little. The only reason he'll praise is if he's involved.
Mm-hmm.
Which means the only time he was involved was Doomsday Clock, and that's the only one he won't say anything good about.
Which, yeah, and by the way, that was hilarious. It was hilarious when someone asked Zach if he would ever do Doomsday Clock, and he goes, no. He goes, no.
Well, to be fair, there's a lot going into Doomsday Clock.
Well, it's also Jeff Johns and that whole situation with Zack Snyder. I can understand that. But still, it's like, yeah, I could say, I mean, even on that, Dave Gibbons was like in favor of Zack changing the ending to Watchmen instead of a squid being a giant explosion. He goes, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool.
By the way, I know I showed you this, Jared, but JJheat, you ever seen Saturday Morning Watchmen?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, the fact that one of the few things that Alan Moore supposedly likes, because he's like, they get the joke.
Right. Dave says, I love how Grant Morrison trolls Alan Moore.
I like how he trolls Mark Millar, who I gotta say, Mark Millar's losing me more and more lately. The fact that he's affiliating even more with CG lately. CG Ripa.
He just promotes comics. That's all it is. It doesn't really matter on that point. I'm sure he doesn't necessarily agree with a lot of what he says.
No, dude. but some of his comments do come off a little extreme right leaning.
Okay, but then again, I do love when you can finally interpret what Grant Morrison is saying. That dude is like the master troll.
By the way, one moment I still love. I wish I could see the video. This was back when DC actually did podcasts of their panels.
Mm-hmm.
It was Final Crisis #1 came out. So they're having a panel there. You have a guy, and so remember, in that issue, Orion is dead.
Yeah.
You had a guy in an Orion costume. And I remember, because this happened, because there is an image of the guy holding Grant, ready to punch him. And he just walks up and be like, ooh, look at this guy.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to have a word with Mr. Morrison. You can have it, Sonny! I want to see that happen. I heard the audio. I saw that image of him, like, ready to punch him. I got to find that image.
Yeah, let's find that. I'm looking that up right now because I got to see that. Grant Morrison, Orion panel.
Yeah, it was an old image. It was back on the old DC website. I don't know if you can find it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
But I just remember that image, and it was just like, oh my God. But just hearing that audio of him going, I would like to have a word with Mr. Morrison. And he said, you can have it, Sonny!
I love that. That is so good. That's why I read Grant Morrison stuff, because they are like, they're crazy, don't get me wrong, with like what they put in there, but he's really like, he's really cool.
Yep, I'm trying to. I don't think we can find that image anymore. I think it's lost to time.
Mm-hmm.
But wait a minute. Final.
Wait. Did you hear this? Here's a video of Grant Morrison talking about Alan Moore, and he says Grant likes to because you know how like Alan Moore doesn't like any other creative dealing with his concepts. Then Grant goes, I like to do that just out of spite.
Yep.
I'm like, yes.
I gotta say, when it comes to out of all of these British Invader creator, Morrison is still the one I respect the most.
Mm-hmm.
More than Alan, more than anyone else.
Yeah.
Yep, but hold on, I'm gonna try and see 2008.
Yeah, because again, Final Crisis is freaking nuts. But and see, here's the thing. I'm gonna say this, and Robert, I think you'll agree with me on this. Hang on.
Uh-huh.
Move. Hang on. One moment. Come on. Slide out. If you read the omnibus, it's much easier to understand.
Oh, I agree, dude. I agreed with the hardcover.
Yeah, when you read the more material that's packed in,
mm-hmm.
because you can if you just read the miniseries, yeah, it's possible to like get through it, but it's infinitely harder.
Right.
Because I'm like, the hell am I watching? But I think that's a good place to leave it. All right.
Yep.
But real quick before we go, I want to show off a little something. I got something cool in the mail. The Justice League ID card for Superman,
Nice.
Wonder Woman, and Batman. So now I have Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Darkseid, the custom one, and Hal Jordan.
Nice.
And then apparently they have Supergirl and Zatanna's cards out, so I need to get those. But all right, so Robert, where can we find you, brother, and what we got coming out?
Links down below. Got a bunch of pro teacher news in the can, including at least 3 videos so far with Brick going over Peter David's Supergirl. She loves it.
Heck yeah. And JJheat, how about you, sir?
As for me, you can find me at JJheat75 or JJheat Plays, where I do mostly playthroughs on Mass Effect, The Walking Dead, which I will finally export from YouTube from my Twitch account. So if you actually want to get ahead on my stream, on my gaming stream, check me out there on JJheat751. Also, New Direction vs. Heroes in Crisis. The main script is finally done. I just need to set up a date. And this coming Monday, hopefully, if scheduling allows, I will be collaborating with Teladia to do a review on Batman: The Caped Crusader.
All right. By JJheat, it's your pick for movie night. What movie are you picking?
Wait, have we already done Terminator Dark Fate?
No.
Oh, God.
No, please no. Please no.
That's
That's an April Fool's pick. I'm vetoing that.
I'd rather do Genesis. Wait, no, did you already said? Did you
I don't know if I see. Here's the thing. Again, it's not really a comic book movie.
Hey, you said I could do any movie. We didn't have to exclusively be comics.
No, I said it has to be a comic book movie.
Okay. All right. That's fine. Let's see. Batman Ninja 2, it recently released.
We already did that.
We already did that.
Oh, already? Jeez. Okay.
Show up for them.
I'm
I'm kidding.
Yes, I love that.
I'm kidding.
all
I'm
good, it's all
kidding.
Did we already do Thunderbolts?
Yes, we did.
No, we did.
Okay.
Oh no, we talked about it when it came out. Yeah, I don't know if we did Did we do?
I don't think we did a
actual
full movie night on it.
Not a movie night. We just did a stream about it, I think.
Let me check. Hang on. We did a spoiler review for CLD.
All right.
Another movie. JJheat, pitch another movie, sir.
Okay.
Shock us.
All right. Let's see, another comic book movie. We already did Constantine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we already did Constantine. I want Deadpool and Wolverine.
Did it.
You already did it. Okay. What's another comic book movie? Not Spawn, but what was that one movie with Shaq, with Shaquille O'Neal?
Steel. Oh, and Robert, you are muted. Oh, you're talking Steel, aren't you?
Either that or Kazam. Which one you want?
Kazam?
Kazam's a comic book movie? But Dave, yes, we have covered the first TMNT movie. Cameron wants Steel. All right, we're doing Steel.
We're doing Steel.
You know where you can get a copy of it?
Robert, do you have it downloaded somewhere?
Why the hell would I have that movie? Why the hell would I have that movie?
You have every movie.
No, I don't.
Okay, JJheat, you may have to pick another movie.
Okay.
Let me wait a minute. Is it on Max?
I think so. It used to be last time I checked, but Zaslav has done a lot of cutting corners. But it did used to be on Max.
It used to be.
Hold on. Okay, on Amazon Prime, it's only $3.79.
I'm not paying for a movie.
All right.
All right. Have we already done superhero movie from 2008?
No, we haven't. We could do that one.
All right.
Sure.
I can't get. I'll be fair. Yeah, go ahead.
To be clear, that's the National Lampoon superhero movie, right? The one with Drake Bell.
Yes.
Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure I had the right movie in my mind.
And it is on Tubi for free.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We're doing superhero movie. All right. So, as for me, tomorrow obviously we'll be doing superhero movie at 6, and then at 9, Britt and I will be going live where we're going to compare Superman and Wonder Woman to Black Bolt and Medusa. I have my Wonder Woman Q&A on Sunday, and then there's gonna be a lot of cool stuff. Okay, Robert, what's up?
May I throw an alternative option quickly?
All right,
it's on Tubi. Comic Book the movie, the Mark Hamill directed mockumentary.
I don't think we can.
It's about comic books. You have a lot of comic creators.
How would I do that?
Wait, the comic book movie.
Comic Book the movie.
Tell you what, let's talk about it off stream.
All right.
That one's a document. That one's a
mockumentary. It's a mockumentary.
I think we're probably just gonna go with superhero movie.
All right.
No,
that could be your pick one month, but okay. But anyway, so stay woke, everyone. Remember, Lois Lane is Lois Lane. She belongs to General Zod or Satan. Either one works. And that's the one I added in Super Wonder Legacy. Zois and Maximat for life. I'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.